I trust we're recording. All right. So basically, the CRM drives your whole business. And I want to take you through from just a few different screens, and I just want to make sure that you understand where things are. I'm not sure how much access you get to the dashboard, and we can vary that access. So you'll have to give me some feedback or maybe send me a snapshot of what you can see. But at this stage, we're going to customize the dashboard even more. But at this stage, the dashboard shows how many leads we bring into the system, right? How much data we bring into the system. So when we allocate you data for the first time, it goes into the opportunities down here and leads new. And then once you've dialed those numbers, it goes to second call, third call, fourth call, because you change the call result and move it each time along. This is really important. And I know admin is a bit of a pain. People just want to crack on, but it's really important that you do this because then you know where everything is. Because each lead is very valuable. It costs a lot of money per lead um, to generate. It could be, to give you an idea, to enrich data, to buy a lead could be 30 cents, 40 cents, which is to scrape a contact, to find a business and put it into a digital format, to then enrich it and get an owner detail and then get their mobile number could be as much as $1.50, $2, $3 per contact. Now, if I've got someone doing it manually, it could cost me $3, $4, $5 per contact, which is insane if you're not closing those in 1 in 10. Think about that. 1 in 10 costs $50 for every booking that's made. So you get 150 in commercial, for example. Residential's different. We buy lists, still each lead costs still 35 cents. Each record of each homeowner still costs 35 cents to buy. All right. So if you do 1 in 100, right, what's $35? $35 for every appointment you make. So if you make 100 to 125 or whatever with bonuses, 150 per appointment, you can add another $35 on that if you're doing 1 in 100 of the data that we're creating. Commercially, it could be even more. It's like $50 to $100 sometimes. So if we get the data wrong, so what this does, this screen allows us, it shows us, and it shows us how well you're using the data. If you can see here, out of 7,700 leads, there's 7,000 currently sitting or been allocated to new. Now look at the drop off. 40% end up in second calls, third calls, fourth calls. So what that means is that you guys have a lot of data sitting in these other channels. Okay? And basically you could be moving more of this data into that, which means these should be pumped right up because you're actively calling your data more than once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Now we've got a lot of data in there, so it's relative to the data. But it just sort of shows you the different stages, and that's why we move you into those stages, because we want to know that the data is being worked because the data is so valuable, right? So these sorts of things give you that idea, so total emails and so on. But we don't worry about that too much with you guys at the moment. I'll show you how you find out how many calls you're making per day. We'll go through that in a minute, but I just wanted to show you that because there's only I've got a lot of screens here that I can show you, a lot of links, but you don't use them all. The conversations tab, right? This shows you who has called you back, or who you've SMS'd, or who has SMS'd you back. And you've got a little filter here to one side, and you can filter that down. So what inbound messages have I received via SMS? right? And either to me or assigned. I mean, you might not get all these choices because you're limited. So it shows you the SMS. I'll call you back shortly. So what that shows you, once you've tried to contact a customer, quite often they get their mobile phone and they go, I don't know that number. Um, no worries. I'll just send them my preset reply that says, on a call you back shortly. That is also an invitation for you to SMS them back, just so you understand that. So the law states that we shouldn't be SMSing people upfront without prior opt-in. That is opt-in. If someone connects with you and messages you and says, hey, I'm just busy, I'll speak to you shortly, and they SMS you, you can SMS them back. But do it by also following up with a call, right? So you can follow them up with an SMS and then you can give them a call later on that day or schedule it as a follow-up, right? So this gives you some really good information if you want to know emails wise. So this is where your conversations are grouped in. As you can see, if I go into this particular person from United Food, I can go here to the blue box and arrow on the right-hand side, and I'll go straight into their profile. So it takes me into their profile. It shows me it's allocated to Daniel up here. This is your phone number. That is your phone number, right? That you're dialing from. That is yours. That is theirs. This is yours. Okay. And this communications area then allows you to SMS them back. But I do not want you treating the SMS like a bulk cheating way of accessing your customers to try and take shortcuts. Number one, we will get the spam switched off, or the spam, we will get done for spamming and the SMS will be switched off, right? We have a limit on how many SMSs we can use per day as a group. Every time you send an SMS costs money. It's not a lot of money, but it all adds up. So I'm happy for you to use it, but I want you to use it strategically for opportunities, for hunting, not just blanketing things, right? Because you think you're on a shortcut to something. There are no shortcuts in this industry. There are no shortcuts ever, right? I think we've all worked that out. Anyone who's tried to take shortcuts quite often has come unstuck, right? So just do the right things, do them well, make them part of your day, right? Reply to people, then put them in. Once they've replied to you, like this is your communication screen. Every contact in your database has details, and you can always add to it, like position, or like if they're the owner, you'd add in owner, and then you save it down the bottom. Excuse me. Company name. If the company name's changed for whatever reason, change it. You know, keep the data that you've got in there up to date, right? The address, right? The website. If you can add in their website, it helps. And then I've already talked about the business description, right? This will auto-populate with a description of their industry and business and what rebates they're entitled to. This is powered by AI that we've built. And if you put in business info as a tag, right? So let's use this as an example. Industry, frozen food wholesale. Okay, that's good. United Food Express, right? Business description is not there. I want to find out a bit more about this. So I'm going to go business info, right? And I'm going to save that. No, you don't need the website. You shouldn't need the website. If you've got a website, it does help, I believe. But there's still a discrepancy with AI as to actually if it does go out with our AI anyway, if it goes out and actually reads that website. Um, but there you go. The food description. United Food Express, there's the description. United Food Express is a frozen food wholesale company located at Keysborough. They provide a wide range of frozen food products to clients such as restaurants, grocery stores, and catering companies. Due to the nature of their business, they likely have a large refrigeration and freezing equipment on site, leading to higher energy costs. Something to talk about. 7 grand, is that 7 grand? So, oh, really? $7,000 a month? Yeah. So, um, in the opportunity stage, see, this is where they get it wrong. Sometimes we ask people, and they go, "Yeah, it's about 4 grand." Well, actually, it's not about 4 grand; it's about 7 grand. And sometimes in this business, we wake these business owners up to action. Ah, okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, we can change that. Yeah, I wasn't aware. But that's great. So this then also tells them that they're entitled up to $35,000, and then more rebates for if they install over 100 kilowatts. Now, 100 kilowatts is around 4 or 5 grand a month. So these guys at 7 grand are likely going to get the STC rebates, and they're likely going to get an LGC rebate. And for those who don't know what an LGC rebate is, when you go over 100 kilowatts, for every megawatt in energy you produce, you're going to get a payment at the end of every year until 2030. So the STC rebates are once off the price, up to 35 grand, off the price. They don't get it reoccurring. But LGC, for those larger energy producers that have a 10,000, 7,000, 10,000, $20,000 bill, they're generating megawatt hours per year, and they could get paid $10,000, $15,000 at the end of every year as a rebate ongoing. So they could get another 30, 40, $50,000 in rebates if they're well over that $5,000 mark, six, seven, $8,000 mark. So that's great. So and that's what your business description is there for. So what I'm trying to say to you is look after your CRM because it's full of really good information. And we're going to make this better and better and better. And we're using AI to drive and enrich data and content. So now you've got it in here. You could put a website in, but that's a great one, Daniel. And okay, so you've got your call result there as well. So your communication area, you can look back on all your communications, all your text messages. If they message you here, you click on to so these are SMSs, I'm assuming, that have gone back and forward. Daniel, is that right? Yep. Okay, and you've just gone into here to type the message, right? Yep, perfect. And if you want to email, because they've got an email address, you'll see there's an email there as well. And we have snippets. We have templates already set up. So if someone says, "Hey, I want an email," you go down to snippets and you choose the company that you're representing. If it's just Energet, there should be just an Energet one. Energet, there's residential, but maybe not Energet commercial. So if you're missing a template or a snippet, then I can create a new one for you. But here's one if we're in Brisbane for Bear Group, it automatically puts the customer's name in and it automatically puts your name in and it's got a logo of the solar company that we're representing at the bottom. Right? So these are, and you can customize that. So if that snippet doesn't give you exactly, like if you want to make it more personal because you've just been talking to that customer, then you can just type over the top of that and then you send that and it keeps a record of everything. So you do all your SMSing and all your emailing and all your replying. Now, when they reply, as you can see, it will come in above, right? Whether it's by, yeah, 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 you just type over it, or you can use some of it, not all of it. It's able to be edited, um, and you can view your recordings for that client. You can go back. So if you have set this up, let's say it wasn't an appointment just yet. You've got an inquiry. You've set up. Go over to the right hand side. You've set it up as a task. So you've added a task. Oh, I need to call this person back on Wednesday. And you've called them up on Wednesday. You can then listen to the recording before you call them up, right? Re-educate yourself as to what it is. Also, you've got a notes section, right? In the notes section, basically every time you click the call result button, it will add a note over here and it will add a tag as well. Bill received, bill requested, acuity calendar. It adds a tag every time you change that call result and it makes a message, a note. But you can add your own notes. So if you just had a long conversation and they want you to call back next Wednesday, then go into the notes and type the note and then set yourself a task to follow them up. And when you set that task, what it's going to do for you, if you look up the top here, you've got contacts, bulk actions, restore tasks, companies, smart lists. You can go into tasks and it's going to list all the tasks that you've got, but it's also going to email your Energet email address, your Gmail account. It's going to email you on the day what tasks you've got to do today. So you don't have to scribble it on a piece of paper. You don't have to keep it in your mind. You don't have to try and draw it on your hand, right? And pen, right? It's using your system. It's creating it all for you. And under the opportunities pipeline, which is where we work every day, you've got your calls leads, which is all your new stuff. You're going to have everything that you've tried once and not got through to, tried twice, quite. Just because they didn't pick up the phone doesn't make it any less quality. So you need to still continue to work through. We've put 6 calls down there. Leads abandoned at the end is anything that you say not interested or has solar. It will remove it from your leads new and it will put it into abandoned. We pick it up from abandoned and we go and enrich it again and refresh it. Maybe it's incorrect data or something like that. That's all in the choices under call result. So always create a call result. If you're unsure what to put it in, just message me. Um, that way, everything in leads new is actually that, yet to be called. Everything in first call is everything you tried once and didn't get through to. So you know, I've only tried those once, I'll do those next. So make sure you spend your day doing a proportion of first, second, third, fourth calls and a proportion of leads new calls because you need everything. And then when you get those appointments, you mark it as a booked appointment. Happy days, right? And I'll show you that screen in a minute. But if it's a callback, hi, John, oh, you're not available? Let me call you back a bit later. I'll call you back in a few days, right? You then go in and you mark it. Okay, and let's go into one. You mark it, call result, next stage, call again, first call, second call. That's the first calls where they don't answer. As soon as they answer, you put it into first day, follow up, send email follow up. Just pretend that's only called follow up. Okay, so follow up one, follow up two, follow up three. So if you're following up within days, then put it in one day or what kind of means one day at a time. If it's months or 1 month, then follow up 1 month. But click it into follow up and it moves it into your follow ups pipeline and it creates a tag. But you also need to go across and set up a note as to what day you want to actually call them back. All right. So you select it there to move it into the pipeline, but you put your notes of why you're going to follow them up and you put your task in about what day you want to follow them up so that it reminds you. If they're closed down, if it says has solar, incorrect data, not interested, they're not qualified, the phone's disconnected, they've retired and gone fishing, or they're already a client, right? They're already a prospect. You might come across that. Then just click whichever the option is. It will move it into leads abandoned and take it out of your leads new column. Admin use. It means don't touch it, please, right? That's for admin. That's to do with the sale passed once it's all booked. If you book it, or when you book it, you put booked, site visit appointment, and it's a sale. It moves it into your sales pipeline as soon as you click that. So that's it, right? Really simple. So if we go back, we now look at the drop-down box here, calls and follow-ups. And of course, what these are calls, follow-ups, right? So everything that you wanted to follow up. So a follow-up could be, hi, John. Look, I'm not available at the moment. Great, John. I'll give you a call back after 5. That's a follow-up. Put it in your follow-ups. A follow-up could be, I'm on holidays at the moment. Call me back in a week. A follow-up could be, I'm really interested, but I've got a meeting this week, or I just need to get end of financial year over. Give me a call in July. Right? That's a follow-up. Move it into follow-ups and put, I need to call them back July. Um, Follow-up, cancel appointment. Okay. Some of these I'm just realizing for the first time as well. So a follow-up could also be they've just SMS'd you back. So ring, ring. Hi, I've got voicemail. I'm going to leave a voicemail and I'm going to call these people back. Right? So that could be a follow-up for you. Or if they've, I would normally put that down as first call, second call, third call, though. I would because you haven't actually engaged with them. So I wouldn't move that to follow-up. But if they SMS you back, I would actually then SMS them back and move it into follow-up. And then I would give myself a list to follow them up at 5 o'clock. So if they haven't got back to me sooner, I would then follow them up. Hey, you got the SMS. I just wanted to follow up. Did that interest you? I sent you an email. I sent you an SMS. And then I would follow it up that way with another call. And I would treat that as a follow up because they've engaged with me. Okay. If they've tried to call you back, they've engaged with me. Um, and I would work that until I got a no. And then I would cancel it out and move it on, not interested. Right. So that's the way I do it. With follow-ups, we've also got a follow-up column called cancelled appointment. And so you recognize follow-up 1 day, follow-up 1 month, follow-up 2 months, follow-up 3 months, and so on. That's the FU 1 month too. So that's pretty clear, right? Followed up cancelled appointment is when you've made an appointment, but they've cancelled. When we then can say that that's a cancelled appointment, it actually puts it in your follow-ups because we want you to follow up a cancelled appointment. You've done all the hard work, booked them in, and they've turned around and they've cancelled the appointment a day before, 3 days before. Might have been on the reminder, right? We send a reminder out that they've got that appointment coming up. We send that a reminder 24 hours ahead. And it's the same with residential. And then they cancel the appointment. Now, they often cancel the appointment because the time's just not convenient. That's majority of the reason. It's not that they don't want to do it. Some people may have changed their mind for whatever reason. They might have had an internal meeting. That's life. But what you should do is be able to recognize that. That's why you've got follow-up cancelled appointments. You would have been sent this by us anyway. We normally drop it into your chat when an appointment's been cancelled, but it sits there. That is money to you. So make sure you follow up any cancelled appointments because it's likely just a scheduling issue. It's not a I hate solar issue, right? Or I hate you issue. Don't take it personally. So yes, yeah, when they've cancelled the appointment, you then we'll give it to you as quickly as we can to follow up. Now, you can try and follow up straight away, but they may not pick up for whatever reason. What they're doing might be the reason they're not answering is possibly the same reason that they're cancelling, right? So you might need to call them back later on. Once again, follow them up. Don't give up on them, right? That is money to you. You've already done it once. You can do it again, right? They've already shown interest once. It should be a warmer lead. That is money sitting there for you. And is also the closure of an account, closure of a campaign for us. So it's really important. So if you see yellow, anytime you see yellow in our system, like on a spreadsheet or in your Excel file under your Google Drive that every Monday we update, that spreadsheet, if you see yellow in there, it means it cancelled and it's waiting for you to follow it up and reschedule it. Or it might be you chasing an energy bill or something like that. But it means it needs our work, Energet's work. Anything that yellow in a spreadsheet is work that you need to be doing, and it's money waiting to be given to you. You've just got to reset it for whatever reason, right? Because this happens in an appointment setting well. So make sure you follow up that. That's really important. Now, when you look at your sales pipeline, right? So opportunities, three pipelines, leads to work, follow-ups, sales. You've then got various columns here which say bill requested. So as soon as you make a sale, it's going to go into bill requested because we're waiting on the energy bill. If you don't need the energy bill, you can still, or we've allocated it, we will move it. We will internally, we will move it into, we've allocated it to the solar company, but we're still waiting on the bill. If we move it straight into sent to client, it basically means we don't need the bill anymore, right? If we've received the bill, you'll see it under bill received. So you can look at this and you'll know that the bill's been received. Happy days, right? You don't need to chase it, in other words. But if it's still sitting in bill requested, then it needs to be chased. But there are some campaigns where you don't need to chase it. So some of the residential campaigns, like Queensland, we do not need to chase the bills. South Australia, we need to chase the bills once, but if we don't get it once after that, then we can, as long as we've made sure that it's set to be picked up at the appointment, right? The customer will have it at the appointment, but we do need to make an attempt with South Australia. That and New South Wales, that's normally the case, is that we need to make an attempt to get the energy bill. But if we can't, we don't want to blow the appointment. So on the second call, we can say, okay, well, look, can you please just have it at the appointment? That's important. I don't want to blow the sale, right? Because we're hounding them over an energy bill. Doesn't make sense. As long as they've confirmed the appointment, we're happy to go and pick the bill up from there. Hopefully that, but in Queensland, it's different. It's very unusual with Queensland, with Black Diamond. We've got an opportunity there. They don't care. As long as you tell them that they can pick the appointment up, the bill up at the appointment, they're very happy, right? So, and you can do that on the first call. Um, they're hungry, right? And that's a sign of a good company to work with from our perspective. Um, so we move it along the line. Once the bill's received, we then send it to the client. So we will manually drop it into bill received. So you will see on the tags of your client that the bill's been received. Remember, it auto tags. So you go back to your client and you look at the tag, you'll see bill received. Sent to the client means they've got it. Qualified means they've seen it. So you've got the bill, we've got the appointment, we've given it to the client. Qualified means they've seen it. And the next step is you get paid, right? And it gets moved to the sale agent paid. So as soon as it's in that column on that Monday, you're paid. Now, that's not always exactly up to date on the day, right? So give that a little bit of time because it's a bit of admin work manually behind the scenes. We've got to check everything. But just so you're aware, in your Google Drive is an Excel spreadsheet that is done every Monday on all your appointments, and it will show you the status of all your appointments. Everything that you've been paid on will have the date you've been paid on it. Everything will be there, but if it hasn't got a date, it means we're either waiting for an energy bill or we're waiting for the date of the appointment for it to be seen. So just so you understand, that's what's in the spreadsheet. It's not updated every day. It's updated every Monday. This CRM should be more up to date than that. When we get the energy bill, we should be moving it directly after getting the energy bill. It hasn't always happened. I've been a little bit slack on that, but I'm putting in policies and I'm putting in things to keep that more up to date. But I always message you anyway, right? You'll always get it in the chat. If I've received an energy bill, I always tell you, but the drive might not be. You can also pull it across. If you know the bill's been received, you can just drag this across into bill received. So you know where you stand. It's just drag and drop and it auto tags from that point. But don't do it unless you've received it because then it's just going to muck everything up. And I will know the bill's not received because I'm doing the spreadsheets on a Monday anyway. So we know and we have a color coded system. It's all really complicated. So anyway, but that's why that's it. So you've got the three pipelines: leads, follow up, sales. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about before I show you the reporting is the contacts tab. And you might have seen that we've been in there before. Now, the reason for the contacts tab, this is all your data, but it isn't your data organized in who have I called once, who have I called twice, who have I made a sale with, da 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 da. That's why we use the appointments pipelines, because it organizes your data so easily you can find who you need to call next. What the contacts tab shows is all your data. And usually we give you what's called a smart list, right? So and if you don't have one, we can allocate you one. But a smart list kind of shows all your data that we've allocated you on a certain day, maybe for a particular campaign. So it might be all the data we've allocated you for Dandenong or Wetherill Park in Sydney or wherever. And what it allows you to do is prioritize some of the data or maybe quickly skip to some of the data you want to call first. So if you're working with your map, you might decide on your map that, oh, I want to work with, what's this area? Carrum Downs. So, okay, I want to work with, I've just got an appointment. I want to find out more companies that are in Carrum Downs because I've just had Yazaki Way. I've had just this business go ahead in Yazaki Way. So I want to call this business, and this business. So I'm going to go back to my CRM and I'm going to go, well, imagine it's Carrum Downs, but we'll call it St. Mary's. I'm going to look at my data. You can even move this out the way a little bit. You can add new columns to it. So if you want to know the industry or the street, you can actually add more things into it when it was last contacted. The tags, you can see the tags here. Nothing of note has been done in the tags. And you can just put, okay, I just want to look at all the companies at St. Mary's. Okay, that's not worked for me. Okay, I go to filters. No, not really. I'll show you another version. No, you can't really do it because that's more, it's the same data, but that's organized more by who you're calling. But here on contacts, you can go by city and then you can put in St. Mary's in by city. There you go. And it'll bring up everything in St. Mary's, right? And so you can organize your data a little bit of a different way. So that's what's under contacts. But generally, we tend to work out of opportunities because it works in the pipeline. What you can do is there's two ways of looking even at your opportunities, and this gets a bit confusing. So I wouldn't do it in the middle of your calling day. I would explore these opportunities out of hours because then you don't interrupt your calling day. But there is a grid version, and a spreadsheet version of your opportunities leads. Okay. So you can sort by, if you see, but everything's jumbled here. Second call, leads new, but it creates more of a spreadsheet view, and you can believe you can add different fields on um, and different things. So you can experiment with that, but you can also organize by stage. So you click your stages and then you've got everything first call, but it's quite handy because you can move some of these along and you don't need the owner over because that's going to be you. But let's say you want to add, and I'm doing this on the fly, you want to say you want to add industries, add a field, industry. I'll have to get back to you on exactly how we can do that. Create a tag status. There's no add fields. That might be just a setting. Other details. Here we go. primary contacts, opportunity details. I'll see if I can add that in. Next task due. Um, so there's, yeah, we'll see if we can add that in, but you may be able to add an industry in, which is what I would, but you can sort. So it's a little bit more complicated. I don't use this very often, but um, sometimes it's difficult to see the names of who you're calling. So you may want to, use it for that reason. So it's the same data as that, but just laid out in spreadsheet version. But like I say, play around with it. If you're not used to using it, try not to eat into your calling time to investigate. But there might be some useful um, screen views for you there. But so if we go back to that, that's generally all you need to do on a working day basis. The videos are also in the Outsell video training course on how to use this. It's pretty straightforward once you get up and running. You've got little shortcuts here for each contact. You can just call them straight from here. But it's always good to look at your contact first before you call them and have a look at them on the map so you're familiar with the business in the area and you've got something useful to talk to. Again, this is very much focused at commercial. If you're residential, you could just dial through there because you know they're in an area, you know they're in a street, you know they're in a city, and it could just be bang, 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 bang. If you want to look at the tags that are down there, you can see that you actually have a user number. And when it's allocated to you, you'll see that all your contacts probably have your user number on there. That's actually how we allocate data to you, by allocating you a user number. New lead, but you can see all the different, look, called again. You can see the tags that are added. So when you move it into first call again first call is actually added as a tag. So it allows you to search manually. So if you went through here in contacts, I won't do it, but you can actually manage your filters and actually look up all the customers in a particular area that you've made first calls to. That's kind of the idea of being able to be clever with your data and searching. But once again, you need to be using that. So using the CRM, making sure you've got all the data correct is actually a great way to be able to really manipulate your data into segments, into areas, and make sure you're spending quality time. Um, Forget about all these other options, but the last thing I want to talk to you about at the moment is reporting. So simply you want to find out how many calls you've made. I mean, we have reporting for a number of things, including uh, not the Facebook ads. We don't do any Facebook ads at the moment. Call reports. So the number of calls, or maybe if we send an email campaign out, we'll see how many opens it's had, how many click-throughs, and so on. So to find out how many calls you've made in a day or a week, and once again, this is directly attributes to your activity and your results. So you put in today's date or yesterday's date. So you click it twice, unless you want to do a range. So if you want to find out from last Monday to today or to yesterday, you can simply click confirm and it'll show you. It actually shows you, I think it shows you everyone's data, and I don't know why it does. I don't think I can limit it. It is what it is. But you click outgoing. You can click incoming, which shows you the callbacks as well. You have maybe access to all numbers. Everyone has a number, right? So you can click your own number to see how active you've been. But if you just want to look at that range, outgoing is what you want to do because that's what you're doing. These are outgoing messages. It shows you the amount of busy call, no answers, percentages, but it also called from last Monday to yesterday or whatever period you want to add in. It shows how many calls you've made, not how many pickups there've been. The only way you can look at the pickups is to get an idea of your average duration of calls, right? Because if you've spent a minute with someone on the phone, you can almost count anything that's 50, 60, 70 seconds as a conversation. So if you're doing 1 in 10, you'll probably see that for every 10 appointments or every one appointment that you're doing, there's probably 10 60-second calls in there, right? So I haven't worked out actually how to meter that on that basis. So it just shows you all your outgoing calls. Um, but what it does, it basically shows you activity. And more often than not, I can attribute the leading appointment setters within the company to the number of calls they've made. Usually it's pretty spot on, unless there's something wrong with someone's script or their connection rate. But usually, if people are more active than others, they're usually the ones that are making more appointments than the others. It's a pretty logical process. So that's available to everyone under reporting. Call reports, you put in, right, the date. If you just want to find out today, you click it twice because it's from and or to. You click outgoing unless you want to see what incoming. I mean, it's very interesting for you to see the incoming calls as well because you can call these people back. They've tried to call you back, so call them back. You know, you might play a bit of tag, but call them back. It shows you under call reporting who's tried to call you back and what numbers. And then you can click on them and go straight into their profile. And then you give them a call. Yeah, yeah, inbound. See that? So once you click, yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah, you can listen to it all there, but you can also listen to it all here. Absolutely. We don't have AI working anymore. We used to have an AI bot, but people complained. You guys complained, I mean. The customers just didn't engage. Sometimes they did, and then it sent you a message. We're going to work on an AI, a better AI system for that. But at the moment, it just comes back to you. There is a voicemail there. It's just me saying, hey, sorry, couldn't take your call. Please leave a message. So if you don't answer, it ends up in a voicemail and you can pick your call up from there because it'll let you know. But it's actually going to dial you directly, so you can see who's tried to call you back. So obviously, call them. So again, using your CRM, you should be looking at it almost kind of with a 360-degree view, right? You should be looking at your outbound calls. You should be looking at your inbound calls. You should be looking at your SMS messages. You should be looking at the emails, and you should be dialing people back and setting up uh, your tasks and emailing people and leaving notes for yourself and setting tasks to a date and then following up your sales and looking at your sales pipeline every day and looking at which bills you haven't got yet because bills mean money, appointments mean money. So you've got to finish it off as well. So hopefully that's been interesting for you. Are there any questions that anyone has on using that at this point? I will stop using the, let me just switch off the recording.